April 22, 1945. A prisoner of war camp outside Munich, 12:15 in the afternoon. Staff Sergeant Michael O'Brien, 32 years old, from Dorchester, Massachusetts, was standing in the mess hall watching 200 German soldiers refuse to eat. O'Brien had been running POW camp kitchens for 6 months. Before the war, he'd worked in his uncle's restaurant on Tremont Street. He knew food. He knew how to feed large groups. The meal he'd prepared was better than decent. White bread fresh from the field ovens, vegetable soup with chunks of beef, canned meat heated through, seasoned, coffee, sugar, powdered milk. In April 1945, most German civilians would have wept at the sight of that meal. The country was starving, cities were rubble, children were eating grass. But the 200 Germans in O'Brien's mess hall weren't eating. They were sitting at long wooden tables, trays in front of them, arms crossed, staring straight ahead. Not a single man had touched his food. 200 men, 200 full trays. O'Brien walked over to the nearest prisoner, a corporal, young, clean uniform even after capture. The insignia identified him as 116th Panzer Division, Windhund, the Greyhound Division, one of the best armored units the Wehrmacht had produced. "What's wrong with the food?" The German looked up, careful English. "This is not proper food. We are German soldiers. We cannot eat this." "You're refusing to eat?" "Yes, this food is beneath us." O'Brien looked down the tables. 200 men, same posture, arms crossed, backs straight. This wasn't individual stubbornness. This was coordinated. Someone had given an order. He reported it to Lieutenant James Parker, 26, Chicago. Parker came to the mess hall, tried reasoning with them. The corporal stood. His name was Ernst Weber. He spoke for the group. "Lieutenant, we appreciate that you are following the conventions, but we cannot accept American food. We request German military rations prepared by German cooks. Until then, we will not eat." Parker stared. "You understand you're prisoners. You don't get to make demands." "We are not making demands. We are simply choosing not to eat food that is beneath our standards." Parker went to the camp commander, Colonel Robert Hayes, 41, Philadelphia, career officer. Hayes came to the mess hall, saw the full trays, the crossed arms. He made a decision. "Fine, you don't want American food?"
Sergeant O'Brien, remove every tray, every pot, every cup. This unit has refused our rations. We'll respect that choice. Weber spoke up. "Colonel, we simply request German military rations." "We don't have German military rations. The German military no longer exists. We have American rations." "You've refused them, so you get nothing." The trays were cleared. 200 servings of soup poured down the drain. The Germans were sent back to their barracks, hungry, confused, but still proud. That afternoon, Hayes wrote a report. By the next morning, it was on General Patton's desk. Before we continue, make sure you subscribe. We tell the World War II stories about what happened when pride met reality. Patton read the report over breakfast, his own breakfast. Black coffee, 2 eggs, toast. He ate the same thing every morning. Food was fuel, that was all. He wrote directly on the report, "Maintain current status. No food until they accept what is offered. I will visit the camp personally in 72 hours. His aide hesitated. "Sir, 72 hours is 3 days without food. The Geneva Convention requires we provide food." "We're providing it. They're refusing it. Send the order." The first day was easy. The Germans were soldiers. They'd fought on empty stomachs before. They sat in their barracks, talked, joked, sang Wehrmacht marching songs, loud enough for the American guards to hear, proving a point. Weber held them together. "Remember who we are.
We are the Windhund Division. We fought from Normandy to the Rhine. We do not beg, we do not break. The second day was harder. The mess hall was 20 yards from the barracks. They could smell everything. Bacon in the morning, bread baking, coffee. Each scent a separate cruelty. They could hear other prisoners eating, laughing, the clatter of trays. Some of the younger Germans stood by the windows, watching, stomachs growling. One of them, a private named Klaus Engel, 19, from Hamburg, stood at the window for an hour, watching American soldiers carry trays of food across the yard. Weber found him there. "Come away from the window, Private." That night, Klaus approached Weber quietly, so the others wouldn't hear. "Corporal, some of us are very hungry. Perhaps we could just accept the food. It doesn't have to mean anything." "No, we made our decision. We stand by it." "But it's just food. It doesn't change who we are." "It changes everything. If we eat their food, we accept their authority."
We are soldiers. We do not beg.
Klaus went back to his bunk. His stomach made sounds he could feel in his spine. The third day was different. The men woke up weak, dizzy. Some couldn't stand without bracing themselves against the bunk frame. The hunger had moved past pain into something duller, heavy gray exhaustion. The smell from the mess hall was torture: eggs, toast, coffee, each scent enough to make a man's eyes water. Weber sat on his bunk, quiet, thinner, cheekbones sharper, but his back was straight. At 14:30, a jeep pulled into the camp. Patton got out, full uniform, 4 stars, ivory-handled revolvers, boots that reflected the April sun. Colonel Hayes met him at the gate. "Sir, they still haven't eaten. 3 full days. How are they?" "Weak, hungry, some showing signs of dehydration, but still refusing." "Take me to them." Hayes opened the barracks door. 200 German soldiers, sitting on bunks, some lying down, too weak to sit, all of them thin, all of them pale. The air smelled sour, the smell of men whose bodies had started consuming themselves. They saw Patton, recognized him. Slowly, painfully, they stood, because standing when a general enters is what soldiers do, even starving soldiers. Weber stepped forward. "General, we maintain our position. We request appropriate rations." Patton looked at him. Then he did something nobody expected. He pulled up a stool, sat down, eye level with Weber, took off his helmet. He spoke differently now, not a general addressing prisoners, one soldier talking to another. "Let me tell you something, Corporal. I've been fighting your people for 3 years. North Africa, Sicily, France, Germany, the 116th Panzer, I know your record, Normandy, the Hurtgen Forest, the Ardennes. You fought hard. I lost men to your division. I respect what you did on the battlefield." The Germans looked surprised. "But you lost. You know why? Not because you weren't brave, not because your tanks weren't good. You lost because discipline without sense is just stubbornness, and stubbornness without purpose is just stupidity." Weber's face tightened. "Right now you're starving yourselves, proving a point nobody cares about. Not your families, not your country, not history. Nobody is going to write about the time 200 Germans refused to eat American bread." Patton stood, put his helmet back on. "Here's reality. Your country is in ruins. I've driven through Berlin, Frankfurt, Munich, rubble. Your people are starving in the streets, women, children, eating whatever they can find." He looked at the youngest faces in the room. "Your mothers are out there right now, wondering if you're alive. What do you think they'd say if they knew you were refusing food, starving on principle while they scrounge through rubble for a potato?" Nobody answered. "You can keep your standards, sit here and starve, or you can eat, survive, go home, find your families, help rebuild whatever's left. Pride or survival, a principle that means nothing or a life that means everything? He looked Weber in the eyes. What's it going to be, Corporal? 200 men watching, waiting. Weber was the one who started this. 3 days of hunger, 3 days of discipline, 3 days of proving that the Windhund Division did not bend. If we eat, do we have your respect? As soldiers? You have my respect because you stood by your men for 3 days, even when it was stupid. That takes guts. But respect doesn't fill your stomach. Make the smart choice. Silence. 200 men holding their breath. Weber nodded, slowly. We will eat. Within 30 minutes, the mess hall was ready. The Germans came in unsteadily. Some needed help walking. Weber sat at the head of the first table, looked at his tray. Bread, soup, coffee. He picked up the bread, held it for a moment, took a bite. The room exhaled. 200 men started eating. Some ate slowly, savoring every bite. Some ate desperately, shoveling soup, tearing bread. Some cried. Quiet tears running down faces too proud to acknowledge them. Klaus Engel ate his entire tray, every bite, every crumb. Then sat with his hands flat on the table, feeling the warmth of the food inside him, feeling the dizziness start to fade. 3 days. He'd gone 3 days without eating because someone told him American food was beneath him. And now the idea seemed insane. Bread was bread. Soup was soup. It didn't care what flag flew over the kitchen. Lieutenant Parker leaned over to O'Brien. 3 days, all because they thought American food was beneath them. O'Brien nodded, and one speech from Patton ended it. Parker shook his head. He didn't end it. He gave them permission to let go. The 116th Panzer never refused food again. Most of them went home when the camps were processed months later. Years later, Klaus Engel, in a conversation with his son on a winter evening in 1971, mentioned the hunger strike. His son asked what he'd learned. Klaus held his coffee cup in both hands, felt the warmth through the ceramic. We thought refusing made us strong. Patton showed us it just made us hungry. Real strength is knowing when to let go of pride. He took a sip. American coffee, by the way. I drink it every morning, have for 26 years. He smiled. It's not bad. Would you have broken after 3 days, or would you have kept refusing? Let us know in the comments. And if you want more stories about World War II and the moments when pride met reality,